The other thing I heard in there when you, in that segment when you were talking is how well you present, and you do present really well. And people who have been through mental illness, a lot of people have this where they present really well, and that can be exhausting because one, you're really putting up this front, and there's so much going on inside, and there's nobody to help you out with it. It's so isolating to be able to present well. And when you try to share what's going on inside, people just kind of blow it off a little bit, like, oh, well, you're just whatever. Because you present so well, you've got them fooled. And I know in the past year, there was a real big story came up, and it was when Robin Williams passed away. And, I was hit hard by it, but not nearly as hard as you were hit by it. But a lot of it did come from the fact that I think he presented well, and a lot of people were kind of like, well, why would he commit suicide? Big star, big this, big that, and then they start maybe talking about him, talking about him behind his back. People were being very judgmental about it. I wonder if you could go ahead and kind of share with people, kind of what was going on with the way you were thinking about Robin Williams, and maybe why you were thinking that way about it. And, give us a little story, because I think it's a very powerful insight into kind of what you're doing now too, which is like bringing mental illness attention to people. And Robin Williams was a great case to sort of like why we should do this. When you look at Robin Williams and you look what happened to him, if you've got sort of questioning his motives kind of thoughts, then you really need to listen to what Shane has to say, I think. So I wonder if you could go ahead and give us a little, your version of when it happened, what you were thinking, what you're feeling, and maybe kind of how that kind of fits into what you're doing now.
Yeah. Boy, we lost the talent there, huh? I mean, we not only lost the talent, we lost a quality human being. Brilliant man, and he was one of my favorite actors, if not the favorite, and definitely my favorite comedian. I definitely was affected when I heard the death of Robin Williams, and then when I heard how he died. It's like one of those things as to where when you hear somebody passed away, that's sad. When you hear somebody passed away because of the same illness that you have and that you're fighting right now, that's scary. Especially the amount of capability that man had, and so many have had in the past. I like I said, I often would present well, and I can tell you a short story is I went into my therapist's room and I was suicidal, and to make a long story short, so my therapist said, you need to see the doctor right now. Well, they were changing doctors. One of the doctors retired, so they were changing doctors. So she says, you need to see this doctor right now. And I said, okay, all right, fine. Well, to his credit, this man went ahead and he scheduled me an hour and a half later. So I ended up having to stay a little bit longer and everything like that. And then I went into his office, and he started asking me all these preliminary questions. And I'm like, look, Doc, I'm at a lot further along than what it is that you think I am. If I say something, you can rest assured that I'm probably 3 stages further than what you think I am. And thanks to the relationship that I had with my therapist, she knew that. But this doctor didn't know that. And so he's like, he's asking me all these preliminary questions, and he's questioning why I'm taking this medication and this and that. And I'm like, look, no offense, but this is serious. I'm hurting. And he goes, well, I can't allow your frustration be my frustration. And that's it. I'm like, okay. And my evil, my demon with my suicidality said, hey, you just gave me the answer I wanted to hear. And it was So I shut my mouth. The man said, it's like you don't look like you're having that much of a problem at all, and maybe you should talk to your therapist. Well, I already talked to my therapist, and she made an emergency meeting, but I didn't say that, and I said, you're right. We'll talk about it. I left that room. I was more suicidal than I was when I walked into that door. I didn't do an attempt at that time, but I sure could have. And I've always, I always dressed up nice. I always went on the fact is it was part of my getting over it type of equation was, make yourself feel better. So I would go ahead and I'd buy nice clothes, and I'd have a shirt here, a shirt there, a shirt here, a shirt there. Well, my thought was there's 365 days in a year, so you need 365 outfits in order for things to work out. I was a consultant, and I was also the fact that I wanted to feel better, and I did everything that I could to do that. And my family, when I was in the hospital, they went to go clean my apartment for me, and they have totes and totes and totes of clothes. So like you said, it was a burden, to say the least, to look the way that I did, but feel the way that I did. And it was instinctual to look that way. And unfortunately, it was 24/7 feeling the way that I felt. And so, when Robin Williams passed, everybody was acting all, like they were all surprised. And, I remember writing something on Facebook, and I think you'll remember. I said, this is a surprise to everyone but him, because he has been there. He's been in that situation before. It's not his first attempt. Matter of fact, he did at least 2 attempts that night. He even made arrangements to appear in the future. So he was doing what I was doing. He was keeping appearances, but feeling the way that he was feeling, and knowing that he was going, to at least attempt. And I can remember I did an attempt. When I say I've done attempts, I've done numerous ones. When I was younger, I used to drink anything that had skull and crossbones on it, right? Whether it be furniture polish, whether it be hydrogen peroxide, whatever. I did it. I remember I decided that I was going to hang myself one day, and I raveled it up and everything, and I put it against my carotid artery, and I was testing it, and I passed out. And as I passed out, all of a sudden, the next thing that I know, I hear computer noise in my head, and I should say this, I was 2 stories high at the time, and somehow when I fell in between these banisters that were like the size of my arms. It wasn't even, I don't even know how I did it, but my whole body fit in between these banisters, in which case I could never do again a billion times. And I landed onto some tin shelves, and I hit the floor, and my glasses popped off, and I remember lying there, and I said, "Oh, I broke my glasses." Now I just fell 2 stories from on high here, and landed down on my head, and my glasses popped off. Oh, I broke my glasses. Well, I came to the realization, well, there might be something else wrong too, So it's like, I says, well, okay, let's move around. Let's see if this fits. This. Everything was relatively okay. I mean, I was banged up and everything, obviously, but an hour later, I ordered a pizza. I went to work the next day. I had rope burn on my neck, and but I wore ties. I worked at a bank at the time, so I wore a tie. Nobody knew. The most that somebody would have known would have been the pizza guy, because he did see the burn on my neck, but he didn't say anything. So it's like nobody knew, and that's the thing. Robin Williams, the whole career, he's been through addiction like I've been through addiction. He's been through depression like I've been through depression, and so forth. So when he got to the point, and this man, it's like he can make you laugh, he can make you cry, he can make you do any type of emotion whatsoever, and then to realize that he died just before fighting the same fight that I was fighting, and that impacted me. That impacted me, and I came to the realization that, and like you said, people started being judgmental, and I started getting angry, and I said, you know what, people need to not hide this. People need to stop rationalizing this. This is a silent torture that's going on, and that I feel on a daily basis, and so I know what that is. And so I decided that I was going to do something about it.